I walked into my in-laws' kitchen and heard my wife say she's pregnant with her boss's baby. That's the first sentence. No warm welcome, no Christmas miracle, just a knife straight to the gut. I had just come home early from Dubai, 14 hours in the air, dead tired, still holding the damn gift I bought her. I wasn't supposed to hear anything, but I froze in the hallway as Lauren giggled. I'm pregnant, and it's Caleb's. Her boss, a man she swore was just a mentor. My heart didn't break. It detonated. And if you think that's the worst part, trust me, it's not even close. Follow and subscribe so you don't miss what happened next. Let me back up for a second. My name's Holden Carter, 38, structural engineer. I'm the guy people call when a building absolutely cannot fall down. That's pretty much how I treated my marriage too. For 7 years, Lauren and I had what I thought was a solid life. Nothing flashy, no wild drama. Mortgage, meal prep, Sunday grocery runs, game nights with friends. She used to tell me, "You're my rock, Holden. You always show up." I was the planner, the saver, the one thinking 10 years ahead while everyone else was thinking about the weekend. Retirement, college funds for kids we hadn't had yet, paying the house off early. That was my love language. Stability. Dubai was supposed to be the big payoff. A brutal 3-month assignment, but a career move. The kind of project that bumps you into partner track. I didn't even want to take it at first. It was Lauren who pushed. "This is huge for you," she said. "I'll be fine. We'll be fine. I'm proud of you." So I went. Worked 14-hour days in desert heat, telling myself I was doing it for us. On the flight home, I honestly thought I was the good husband in this story. Turns out I was just the safe one. The boring one. The one she'd already started planning a life without. By the time the plane touched down in Denver, I'd built the whole night in my head. I was supposed to land on Christmas Day. Instead, I grabbed an earlier flight, switched seats, paid the fee, didn't care. I wanted to walk into that house a day early, wrap my arms around Lauren from behind, feel her jump, laugh, maybe cry a little. Driving from the airport, the roads were dusted with fresh snow. Radio on low, some old Bing Crosby track humming in the background. My suitcase was in the back, her gift on the passenger seat, a bracelet from a gold market in Dubai that cost more than my first car. I remember glancing at it at every red light and thinking, she's going to lose it when she sees this. I pulled up to her parents' place in the suburbs, classic American Christmas postcard. 2-story house, inflatable snowman on the lawn, lights on every gutter. Cars lined the street, the kind of neighborhood where people still wave at each other. Front door was unlocked. It never locked on holidays. Family shouldn't have to knock, her dad always said. So I stepped inside, quiet. Cinnamon, pine, something in the oven. I shut the door gently behind me, shifted the gift bag in my hand, and headed down the hallway toward the kitchen, completely unaware that 10 steps later, my entire life was going to detonate. I didn't even make it to the doorway. I was maybe 10 feet away, hidden by the wall, when I heard Lauren's voice. Close, clear, happy. "I'm pregnant." I actually smiled. Right there, in that narrow hallway, holding a gift bag like an idiot, I smiled. My chest went light, my eyes stung a little. 7 years of marriage, 3 months apart, and I thought, finally, this is it. This is our moment. My mother-in-law gasped, hand over her mouth. "Oh my God, Lauren, does Holden know?" I took a step forward. That was supposed to be my cue. Big reveal. Surprise entrance. Husband walks in, hugs wife, everybody cries. Lauren laughed softly. Not her normal laugh. Higher, sharper. "No, it's not Holden's." I stopped walking. "It's Caleb's, my boss." Just like that. No hesitation, no shame. Caleb. The guy I'd shaken hands with at company parties. The guy I'd trusted to look out for her at work. People say, the floor dropped out from under me. It didn't. The floor stayed exactly where it was. I was the one who disappeared. I stood there, frozen in that hallway, with a Christmas present in my hands and nothing left in my chest. I don't know how long I stood there. 30 seconds, 2 minutes. Long enough to hear way more than I ever should have. My mother-in-law's voice dropped. "Lauren, what are you saying?" Lauren exhaled like she'd been holding this in for months. We've been together about 6 months, since August. I love him, Mom. Caleb makes me feel alive. Alive. Like I'd been keeping her half dead this whole time. Her dad spoke up, slow, careful. What about Holden? He's a good man. He loves you. I know he's a good man, she said, and my stomach twisted. But Holden is safe. He's reliable. He'll take it well. He always does. He'll be okay. Safe. Reliable. The way you describe a used truck. Or an old couch that still works so you keep it in the basement. Then she laid out the plan. My life. In bullet points. I'll tell him after Christmas. I don't want to ruin his holiday. Caleb's getting divorced too. We'll find a place. Start fresh. Do this right. Do this right. She'd turned my marriage into a project timeline. Milestones, dependencies, risk management, and I was just one more box she'd scheduled to check off, right after the holidays. We've been together since August. That's what she said. 6 casual words over the hum of a kitchen, and every single one of them sliced through me. August. August was our 7-year anniversary. I took her to a steakhouse by the river. White tablecloth, stupidly expensive wine, the whole thing. She held my hand across the table, looked me in the eyes, and said, I'm so lucky you're my husband. Apparently, 2 weeks later, she was in a hotel bed with her boss. Then she added, almost offhand, we haven't been intimate since July anyway. And here's the part that hurt in a very specific way. She was right. And I hadn't even noticed. Suddenly, all the little dots started connecting themselves. The girls' nights. The random, I'm working late, don't wait up. The new lingerie that I never saw again. The sudden love for hotels downtown, after happy hour with coworkers. I'd written it all off as stress, work, life. Because I trusted her. Because I was busy building our future. Standing in that hallway, I realized I hadn't just been blindsided. I'd been blind. For 6 straight months, she'd been planning her exit, and I'd been the only one who didn't know the marriage was already over. At some point, survival instinct kicked in. I didn't burst into the kitchen. I didn't scream, flip the table, demand answers. I did the quietest thing I've ever done in my life. I took one slow step back, then another, still holding that damn gift bag like it mattered. Their voices faded as I retreated down the hallway I'd just walked up, past the family photos, past the stupid little wooden sign that said, "Bless this home." The front door was still cracked open from when I'd come in. I slipped through it and pulled it shut behind me. The latch made this tiny click, soft, harmless. To me, it sounded exactly like a casket closing. Out on the porch, snow was drifting down harder now. Lights wrapped around the porch railings blinked red and green. The wreath on the door said, "Joy to all who enter." Yeah, sure. I stood there, breathing steam into the cold night, feeling absolutely nothing and way too much at the same time. I could have gone back in, made a scene, let my pain do the talking. Instead, one thought cut through the noise. She's been planning this for 6 months. You just found out tonight. So no, I wasn't going to give her a meltdown to point at later. Not tonight. Tonight, I walked away. I put the gift in the trunk like it was hazardous material. Sat in the driver's seat and just stayed there. Snow started to build up on the windshield, turning the house into a blurry glow behind me. From the outside, it probably looked peaceful. Inside the car, it felt like a grave. My phone buzzed. "Lauren, so excited to see you tonight, babe. Dad already opened the good scotch, save me." Then another, "Love you so much. Can't wait to see you." I stared at those words for a long time. Same phone, same woman, same 3 words I'd lived on for years. But now I could hear them layered over what she'd just said in that kitchen. We've been together since August. It's Caleb's. He'll take it well. He always does. My thumbs hovered over the screen. I could have blown it all up right there. Instead, I locked the phone and dropped it face down on the passenger seat. No reply, no fight, no clue. I didn't need a conversation. I needed something else. As I pulled away from the curb, one thought cut through the fog. I don't need answers from her. I need a lawyer. By the time I got back to our house, My house. It already felt different. Same white siding, same front porch, same stupid little welcome mat we picked out together. But when I stepped inside, it didn't feel like home. It felt like a set. Every picture on the wall looked staged. The couch where we'd watched movies, the dining table where we'd hosted friends, the bed down the hall where she'd laid next to me while texting another man. I dropped my keys in the bowl by the door, stood in the middle of the living room, and pulled out my phone. My hands were shaking, but my voice wasn't when Ryan picked up. Music and laughter in the background. "Holden? Thought you were still overseas, man." "Ryan." I cut him off. My throat tightened, but I pushed through it. "I need a divorce lawyer. The best you know." Silence. The music stopped. I heard a door shut on his end. "What happened?" he asked, voice suddenly dead serious. "She's pregnant," I said. "It's not mine." Another beat of silence. "Okay," he said. "Then we don't panic. We get you protected." And just like that, in one sentence, I stopped being a confused husband and became a man preparing for war. Ryan didn't waste time. "Listen to me," he said. "Don't confront her. Not tonight. Maybe not for a while. That's your first instinct," he added, "and it's the one that'll screw you in court." I paced the living room, staring at our wedding photo on the wall. "So what do I do?" "You protect yourself," he said. "You check everything. Email, cloud, bank accounts, credit cards, phone records. If she's been doing this for 6 months, there's a trail." I swallowed. "Feels dirty." "What she did is dirty," Ryan snapped. "You're not snooping. You're documenting. There's a difference." Then he said the line that flipped a switch in my head. "Document everything before she knows you know." And that was language I understood. I'm an engineer. My whole job is data, timelines, failure points. You can't fix what you can't see. So I stopped pacing, went to the kitchen, made a pot of coffee like it was any other late work night. If she'd spent 6 months quietly tearing my life down, I could spend one night digging up the truth. Forget screaming. This just became Project Divorce. Evidence. I sat down at the family computer in the home office, the same desk where we'd filed taxes together, ordered Christmas gifts, paid bills. Lauren had her own work laptop, but this machine? Shared. Harmless. Neutral ground. I knew her email password. She'd told me years ago. "We're married. What do I have to hide?" she'd joked. "Yeah, about that." I logged in, hands a little shaky, brain in full engineer mode. Search bar. Start with August. Emails popped up. Work stuff. PTA updates from her mom. Store coupons. Nothing. Then I saw it. Subject line: reservation confirmation, Riverside Plaza Hotel. Date: August 15th. Funny. That was the same night she'd told me she was having girls' night with an old college friend. I'd ordered pizza, watched a documentary, stayed out of her way. I opened the email. King room, 2 guests, late checkout. Next tab, an expense report marked client dinner, 2 entrees, 1 dessert, a bottle of wine that cost more than our weekly groceries. Every click was another hit to the ribs. Every line item was another coincidence turning into a pattern. I started taking screenshots, downloading PDFs, dropping everything into a new folder on my hard drive. I named it Project Evidence. Cold. Clinical. Because if my marriage was going to die, I wanted the autopsy report. Emails were bad. The texts were worse. Lauren's phone was with her, but we'd set up family iCloud years ago. Back then it was for photos and convenience. Turned out it was also for truth. I dug into our shared account, clicked through backups, scrolled until my eyes blurred. Then I saw a thread labeled just "See Messages." Hundreds of them. Most of them deleted on her end. Not here. "You make me feel alive, Caleb. I can't stop thinking about last night. When are you going to tell her?" My chest tightened. I kept scrolling. Then I hit the one that finished the job. After the Dubai project. It's easier when he's gone. I just sat there staring at that line. All those nights she'd urged me to take the assignment. "This is huge for your career, Holden. You should go. I'll be fine." I thought I had a supportive wife. She just wanted a clear runway. No husband in the house. No questions. No witnesses. I exported the entire thread, saved it to my external drive, uploaded it to a private cloud she didn't know existed. If she saw me now, she'd call it snooping. I called it what Ryan did, documentation. Because if I was going to walk away from this wreck, I wanted every black box recording. By the time I was done scraping through our digital life, it was close to midnight. I packed a bag on autopilot, couple shirts, jeans, toiletries, the hard drive with project evidence on it. I left the house dark, locked the door behind me, and drove to a bland business hotel near the airport. The kind of place you stay for layovers and conferences. The lobby was quiet. Soft music, fake plants, tired clerk. I checked in under my own name, took the key card, rode the elevator up in silence. The room was beige. Beige walls, beige carpet, beige curtains. Even the bedspread was a different shade of beige. I set my bag down, sat on the edge of the bed, and opened my laptop. The folder glowed back at me. Project, evidence, full of screenshots, emails, text logs, hotel confirmations. My brain had been in engineer mode all night. Organize, label, preserve. But sitting in that ugly beige room with no more tasks to hide behind, something inside me finally caught up. I hadn't cried in, I don't even know, 15 years? Maybe more. That night I did. No man up. No deep breaths. No talking myself out of it. I put my face in my hands and sobbed like a kid who just realized the adults can't fix it. And underneath all of that, a single cold thought whispered, "She was going to tell you after Christmas. You've got time. Use it." At some point, the crying stopped. Not because I felt better, just because my body ran out of whatever it was burning. It was around 3 a.m. I was sitting on that beige bed in that beige room, laptop open, cursor blinking in a search bar. Denver divorce lawyer infidelity, I typed. Dozens of names popped up, smiling headshots. Compassionate, understanding, results-driven, marketing fluff. I scrolled past most of it. One name kept showing up. Reviews, articles, a couple of news pieces about high-conflict divorces. Alexis Grant. Words people used for her were different. Sharp, brutal when she needs to be, ruthless but fair. That last part stuck. I didn't want a shark who'd burn the whole world down. I wanted someone who would protect me, not turn me into a version of her. I opened a new email, introduced myself, gave the short version, 7-year marriage, pregnant wife, affair with her boss, digital evidence, attached a handful of files from project evidence. Hit send at 3:17 a.m. Honestly, I didn't expect anything back. It was the holidays. Everyone normal was asleep or with family. At 7:02 a.m., my inbox pinged. Be at my office at 10 a.m. Bring everything. For the first time since that hallway, I didn't feel completely alone. Alexis's office was downtown, high floor, glass everywhere, view of the river and half the city. The kind of place that quietly says, "I bill by the hour and you're going to pay it." She stood when I walked in. Mid-40s, dark hair pulled back, suit that probably cost more than my car payment. Firm handshake, no fake sympathy in her eyes, just focus. "Mr. Carter," she said, "sit. Show me what you have." I opened my laptop, slid over the external drive, walked her through everything. The hallway, the pregnancy, Caleb, the hotel receipts, texts, bank transfers. I laid out the timeline like it was a structural failure report. She took notes, barely reacted, just nodded here and there. When I finished, she flipped a page on her legal pad. "Okay," she said, "here's where you stand." She explained it plain. Colorado's a no-fault state. Court doesn't care why the marriage ended, at least not officially. But marital waste, money spent on the affair, that matters. So does the fact she's pregnant. "Right now," Alexis said, "the law assumes you're the father. Until we get a DNA test, that baby is legally yours. We're going to change that." I swallowed hard. I hadn't thought that far. She leaned back. "This isn't about revenge, Holden. Revenge is messy and expensive. This is about justice and protecting yourself." "Can I do both?" I asked. She gave the smallest smile. Sometimes justice already looks a lot like revenge from the outside. "So what do I do now?" I asked. "Go home and blow it up?" Alexis shook her head immediately. No, you go home and act normal. The word made my skin crawl. Normal. You can't confront her yet, she said. She's been planning this for 6 months. You've had one night. She is ahead of you, emotionally, financially, legally. You need to catch up before she knows you're in the game. And that means lying to her? I asked. That means protecting yourself, she corrected. You smile, you hug, you eat Christmas dinner, all while we file everything. On December 26th, she gets served before she has a chance to spin a story or hide more money. I sat there picturing it, sleeping next to her, listening to her talk about our future, knowing she already traded me in. Everything in me wanted to drag this into the light, right now. But the engineer in me knew she was right. You don't start tearing down a structure without a plan, unless you want it to fall on top of you. I signed the paperwork, gave Alexis full authority to move. When I walked out of that office, I still hurt just as much. But for the first time, the pain had a direction. Driving back to the house, my stomach felt like concrete. From the outside, nothing had changed. Same street, same driveway, same wreath on the door. From the inside, absolutely everything had. I barely got the key in the lock before the door yanked open. Lauren flew into me like a storm, arms around my neck, face buried in my chest. "You're home," she laughed, already crying. "You're finally home." I wrapped my arms around her. Muscle memory. Years of habit. My body held her. My mind replayed her saying, "It's Caleb's. My boss." She kissed my face, my jaw, my mouth, like nothing in the world was wrong. "I missed you so much," she said. "You have no idea." I had some idea. I set my bag down, rolled up my sleeves, went into the kitchen. If I was going to play the role, I'd play it well. I made her favorite, chicken piccata with angel hair pasta, the dish I'd learned for her birthday years ago. She bounced around the kitchen talking about Christmas plans, about my parents calling, about how everyone was so happy I was back safe. We sat down to eat. She took one bite, closed her eyes. "You're perfect," she smiled. "I don't deserve you." In my head, the answer was simple. "You're right. You don't." Out loud, I just smiled back and took another bite. Safe, reliable, always shows up. That was still my role, for 9 more days. Then the script would flip. After dinner, we did what every normal married couple does on Christmas week. We picked a movie, some cheesy Christmas rom-com Lauren loved. I don't even remember the title. I just remember the glow from the TV and the way the lights on our tree reflected off the window. She curled up against me on the couch, head on my shoulder like she'd done 1,000 times. Her fingers kept finding my wedding ring, twisting it without thinking. It used to calm me. That night, it made my skin crawl. About halfway through the movie, she tilted her head up, smiled that soft, familiar smile. "Maybe we should go to bed early." I knew that tone. 7 years of marriage, you learn the language beneath the words. For a second, my body almost went on autopilot. Habit, muscle memory. Then the image hit me. Her in some hotel bed with Caleb. Her saying, "We haven't been intimate since July." My stomach flipped. "I'm wiped," I said. "Jet lag's killing me. Can we just sleep?" She looked disappointed for half a heartbeat, then kissed my cheek. "Of course. Come on, big guy." That night, she fell asleep with her back pressed into my chest, breathing slow and steady. She slept like a wife in a safe marriage. I stared at the ceiling, counting down the hours until December 26th. Christmas Eve morning, she was back to normal, or whatever normal was for her now. She bounced into the kitchen in flannel pajamas, kissed my neck while I was making coffee. "Mom wants us there early," she said. "We should bake cookies to bring over." So we stood side by side at the counter, rolling dough, cutting shapes, dusting them with red and green sprinkles. From the outside, we looked like a Hallmark commercial. Inside, I knew I was standing next to a woman who was pregnant with another man's kid and planning to leave me after the holiday. At her parents' house, the show kept going. Margaret fussed over the cookies. Thomas poured me a drink. Christmas music played low in the background, and everybody lied by pretending nothing was wrong. At one point, Margaret pulled me aside near the sink. "She's glowing lately," she whispered, smiling. "I think she has big news for you soon." I held her gaze, felt something in me harden. I'm sure she does, I said. Later, Thomas clapped a hand on my shoulder. Marriage is about weathering storms, son. Don't forget that. As if I was the storm. I just nodded. I'm looking forward to what's coming. He heard hope. I meant paperwork. That's when it really sank in. It wasn't just Lauren protecting her fantasy. Her whole family was willing to let me stand in front of a train and call it love. Driving back from her parents' place, the world looked peaceful. Light snow drifting down, streetlights glowing soft, radio low, silent night humming through the speakers. Inside the car, it was anything but silent. My head was replaying everything. Her laugh in that kitchen, Margaret's fake smile, Thomas's speech about storms. We were stopped at a red light when Lauren glanced over at me. Streetlight caught her face just right, made her look like the woman I married, not the one I'd met in that hallway. I love you, she said quietly. You know that, right? For years, that sentence was home. It was the anchor, the thing I clung to when work was hell or life got heavy. This time, it didn't land. It just floated there between us. I know, I answered automatically. And right as I said it, I realized I didn't know anymore. I didn't believe it. Christmas morning, we did the whole routine. Coffee, pajamas, gifts. I gave her the bracelet from Dubai. She gave me an expensive watch. She gasped, "It's beautiful, Holden. I'll wear it all the time." All I could think was, yeah, probably on dates with Caleb. I love you hadn't changed as a sentence, but it no longer meant what I thought it did, and that hurt more than if she hadn't said it at all. Christmas Day slid by in this weird, slow-motion haze. We called my parents, watched another movie, ate leftovers. From the outside, it looked like any other married couple's holiday. Two people a little tired, a little full, a little lazy. Inside my chest, it felt like a countdown. That night, after we brushed our teeth and went through the usual bedtime routine, Lauren walked over to me in one of those old t-shirts she sleeps in. No makeup, hair up, soft, familiar. She wrapped her arms around my neck. "You sure you're not up for anything more tonight?" she asked, half teasing. "You've been gone 3 months." Part of me wanted to give in just to feel normal for one more second. The other part couldn't get past hotel sheets and Caleb's name on a reservation. "I'm wiped," I said. "Still trying to get on local time. Can we just sleep?" A flicker of hurt crossed her face, but she covered it with a smile. "Okay, come here." She turned over, back to my chest, my arm around her like a habit. She drifted off. When her breathing evened out, I stared into the dark for a long time. Then I carefully slid my arm away, got out of bed, and walked into the living room. I stood in the middle of that space, our tree, our couch, our framed photos, and knew, tomorrow morning, this stops being our anything. This was the last night I would ever lie beside her as her husband. December 26th felt oddly calm. I woke up before Lauren, slipped out of bed and made coffee like it was any normal day off. Mug, sugar, the chipped Christmas mug she loved. The routine steadied my hands. I sat at the kitchen table, phone face down, waiting. Alexis had said 9 a.m. sharp. Lauren shuffled in wearing her robe, hair a mess, eyes puffy from sleep but soft. She poured herself a cup, sat across from me, bare feet on the cold tile. "What do you want to do today?" she asked. "We could drive up to the mountains, maybe hit that diner you like." Before I could answer, the doorbell rang. She frowned. "Who's here this early?" "I'll get it," I said. There was a woman on the porch. Business clothes, clipboard, manila envelope. "Morning. Is this the Carter residence?" "Yes." "Is Lauren Carter home?" Lauren appeared behind me, mug in hand. "I'm Lauren." The woman handed her the envelope. "You've been served. Have a good day." Just like that. No drama, no music cue, no thunderclap. Lauren stared at the papers like they were written in another language. For the first time since that hallway, she was the one who didn't know what was coming. She didn't open the envelope right away, just held it, knuckles white, eyes flicking from me to the door the woman had just walked through. What is this?" she finally asked. "Open it," I said. My voice sounded calm, almost bored. It surprised me. She tore the top, pulled out the stack of papers. Her eyes skimmed the first page. Petition for dissolution of marriage, she read out loud, barely whispering. Her face went gray. Holden, what is this? Divorce papers, I said. Irreconcilable differences. Marital waste. You'll see all the terms in there. Why? She shook her head, laughing once, the wrong kind of laugh. What are you talking about? What's going on? There it was, the attempt to grab the narrative, to play confused. I stepped closer, made sure she was looking at me. You're pregnant, I said slowly. With Caleb's baby, not mine. I know. She froze. I came to your parents' house on Christmas Eve, I continued. Heard you tell them everything. 6-month affair. Caleb makes me feel alive. Holden is safe. He'll take it well. Her eyes filled, but I kept going. I know about the hotel, the text messages, the secret account, the new credit card with 15 grand on it, the cash withdrawals, all of it. I wasn't yelling. I didn't have to. Every word was another nail in the coffin she'd built for our marriage. I was just reading the label out loud. Lauren dropped onto the couch like her legs gave out. The papers slid from her hands onto the floor. I was going to tell you, she sobbed. I was going to tell you, after Christmas. I almost laughed, not because it was funny, because it was pathetic. Yeah, I said. I heard that part too. She reached for me like muscle memory. Can we just talk about this? Please. Don't do anything rash. We can go to counseling. We can work through this. I made a mistake. No, I said. You didn't make a mistake, Lauren. You made a series of choices. For 6 months. In hotels, on company cards, with a baby as the result. She shook her head, tears streaming. I love you. I'd waited years to hear those words in a moment that mattered. This wasn't it. You don't love me, I said, calm. You love what I provided. The house, the stability, the image. There's a difference. I picked up my keys. My stuff is already mostly out. I'll be back with movers for the rest. You can stay here until then. She stood, panicked. Holden, please. I opened the door, paused, and finally gave one thing back. I hope Caleb makes you feel alive at 3 a.m., I said, when his baby is screaming and there's no one left to pay the bills. Then I walked out. And this time, I didn't look back. Ryan and Emily didn't ask for details right away. They just made up the guest bed, handed me a towel, and put a beer in my hand. Sometimes that's all a man can survive on, somewhere to sleep and someone who doesn't make you retell the worst night of your life on loop. Lauren called. A lot. First the please pick up, then the we can fix this, then the angry ones. I turned my phone off. If she wanted to talk, she could go through Alexis. The first temporary hearing came fast. Holiday schedule or not, Alexis moved like she had a personal grudge against chaos. In court, Lauren's lawyer tried to paint it as marital issues, distance, work stress, emotional disconnect, the usual soft focus excuses. Alexis didn't raise her voice. She just introduced exhibits A through, I lost count, bank statements, hotel receipts, screenshots of texts, and then she read them out loud. You make me feel alive, Caleb. After the Dubai project, it's easier when he's gone. Lauren was shaking. Her parents sat behind her, stunned silent, listening to their daughter's affair laid out like a financial report. By the end, the judge ordered all joint accounts frozen and put most of the control in my hands until things were sorted. Walking out of that courtroom, it hit me. My marriage was officially a case file now, ugly, public. But for the first time, the consequences weren't just mine to carry. Out in the courthouse parking lot, I was halfway to my truck when I heard my name. Holden. Thomas. My father-in-law. Shoulders slumped, tie loose, looking older than I'd ever seen him. He walked up, hands in his pockets, eyes on the asphalt. She made a mistake, he said quietly. People make mistakes. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. No, I said. Forgetting an anniversary is a mistake. Snapping in an argument is a mistake. I looked him dead in the eye. You don't accidentally cheat for 6 months and get pregnant. He flinched. Margaret caught up, makeup smudged, still trying to hold on to some version of the story where this was fixable. 7 years of marriage, Holden, she said. You're really going to throw it all away over this? I almost laughed. I'm not throwing anything away, I said. She already did. One choice at a time, hotel by hotel, lie by lie. All I'm doing now is taking out the trash. Silence. Wind in the trees. Cars passing. For years I'd been the good son-in-law, the safe guy, the stable one. Walking back to my truck, I realized something. I didn't owe that role to anybody anymore. News travels fast in corporate America, especially when there's blood in the water. A few weeks after the hearing, I started hearing things through the grapevine. Caleb's wife, Evelyn, had filed for divorce. She didn't just leave, she went scorched earth. Forwarded emails, screenshots, HR complaints. Sleeping with a subordinate isn't just messy, it's a policy violation. By the end of the quarter, Caleb wasn't senior director anymore. He was no longer with the company. Lauren didn't get fired, but the golden girl shine was gone. Lateral transfer. Different department, different floor. Same whispers following her down the hallway. One afternoon, months later, I walked out of my new job's building and saw her waiting by my truck. She was visibly pregnant now, belly out front, jacket not quite closing, one hand resting on it like she could hide what it meant. Holden, please, she said, just 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I listened. She told me Caleb was gone. No job, no money, no interest in being dad. She said she missed me, missed us. We can fix this, she insisted. Then she said it. After the baby's born, I could give it up, for adoption. We could start over, clean slate. I actually took a step back. You're willing to throw away your own child, I said slowly, to make yourself more comfortable? In that moment, whatever pity I had left for her died. There are broken people. And then there are people who break everything they touch. In the end, it didn't happen with fireworks, just signatures. The final decree gave me about 60% of everything we'd built on paper. The house, most of the savings. My retirement untouched, hers untouched. She walked away with her car, her personal accounts, and every cent of credit card debt tied to the affair. Hotels, gifts, dinners. On paper, I won. I signed the stack of documents in Alexis's office. She slid the last page toward me, tapped where I needed to write my name. Congratulations, she said, not with a smile, more like a doctor saying, we got it all, but recovery's on you now. I thanked her, shook her hand, walked out with a folder that said my marriage was officially dead. Back at the house, my house now, it felt like walking through a crime scene after the tape's been taken down. Every room was a before picture. The bed where she texted him. The kitchen where I cooked while she lied about working late. The hallway where we'd hung wedding photos like trophies. I stood in the living room and knew I couldn't stay. I listed the house, bought a small condo downtown, took a job offer in Seattle a few months later. On the court record, I came out ahead. In my chest, it just felt like I'd survived a building collapse and was standing alone in the rubble. Seattle was supposed to be the reset. New city, new job, no shared history in the streets or grocery aisles, just rain, coffee, and anonymous office buildings. I threw myself into work, hit the gym, went home to a quiet condo that didn't smell like anyone but me. People at work knew I was divorced. That was it. I got divorced. She cheated, I'd say if it came up. Then I'd tack on the same 2 useless words. I'm fine. One guy in my team wouldn't let it go. You gotta get back out there, man. Just dinner, nothing serious. So I went. The woman was kind, funny, smart. The type I might have really liked in another lifetime. But sitting across from her, I felt like a ghost politely moving his fork around his plate. A few weeks later, I flew back to Denver for a meeting. Afterward, I stopped at a restaurant near our old neighborhood, mostly out of habit. That's where I saw them. Lauren, Caleb, and a baby girl in a high chair. Sophie, had to be. He was holding her spoon, making faces. She was laughing at something he said. They looked normal, comfortable, maybe even happy. I stood on the sidewalk, watching through the glass, feeling like I'd been punched all over again. This was the part where karma was supposed to show up, where they were supposed to look miserable so I could feel better. Instead, they looked like a family. I walked away before they could see me, went back to my hotel, and drank until the room stopped spinning. They looked fine. I was the one still bleeding. Ryan came out to Seattle about a year after the divorce. He hugged me at the airport, stepped back, really looked at me, and didn't bother sugarcoating it. "You look like a ghost, man." We grabbed burgers and a beer near my place. He talked about Emily, the shop, stupid stuff from the Marines. I nodded, laughed in the right spots. At some point, he just put his fork down. "You left her," he said, "but you never left that hallway on Christmas Eve." I opened my mouth to argue, then shut it. Because he was right. Physically, I'd moved states, changed jobs, sold the house. But in my head, I was still standing there holding that gift bag, listening to, "I'm pregnant, it's Caleb's." That night, back at my condo, something snapped. I finally let myself get ugly mad. I threw a mug against the wall and watched it explode. I screamed into a pillow until my throat hurt. Not at her, not at Caleb, just at all of it. The next morning, with dried tears on my face and a headache pounding, I did something I'd avoided for a long time. I looked up a therapist, not as a checkbox, as a way out. This time, I wasn't going to bail when it got uncomfortable. First session, I sat on that couch, stared at a plant in the corner, and said the only honest thing I had. "I feel nothing." My therapist didn't flinch. "That's not nothing," she said. "That's shock. Numbness is your brain hitting the emergency brake. It's how you survived." I hadn't thought of it as surviving. It felt more like failure. Week after week, I walked her through the whole mess. Dubai, the hallway, the kitchen, the texts, court, seeing them through the restaurant window. She kept asking the same kind of questions. What did you make that mean about you? Answers came out like splinters. That I wasn't enough. That I was boring. That if I'd been more fun, she wouldn't have looked somewhere else. One day she stopped me. "Holden, her cheating doesn't prove you were unlovable. It proves she was willing to betray. That says something about her character, not your worth." I just sat there. Let that sit. It didn't fix everything, but it cracked something open. I started to feel again, not just rage or emptiness, real emotions. Sadness for the man who tried, grief for the future I'd planned, relief that I wasn't crazy. It really had been that bad. For the first time, the pain wasn't an endless pit. It was something I could walk around, look at, and maybe, one day, walk past. I met Rachel at a conference, of all places. It was one of those dry professional events in a hotel ballroom. Bad coffee, name tags, people pretending the snacks are worth staying for. I was there to talk infrastructure. She was there to talk trees. She introduced herself during a break. Rachel Foster, landscape architect. We started with the usual small talk, projects, cities we liked, how Seattle somehow manages to be gray and beautiful at the same time. Then, without really planning to, we drifted into the heavy stuff. She mentioned an ex-husband, and the word alcoholic slipped out. I mentioned a divorce, and the words Dubai and she cheated slipped out. Normally, that's where my throat tightened, where my hands got sweaty and my brain went back to the hallway. But this time it didn't. I just told her, straight, no shaking, no cracking. She didn't give me pity eyes. She just nodded. "Yeah, my ex chose the bottle over us for years. I left before it killed me." We looked at each other for a second, both realizing the same thing. We weren't just divorced people. We were survivors. Before we left, she said, "Hey, there's a coffee place around the corner that doesn't taste like burned office pot. Want to meet tomorrow?" For the first time in a long time, I said yes, with no idea where it was supposed to go, and no pressure for it to be anything more than two people with scars sharing caffeine. Coffee turned into more coffee. Then walks through parks where she'd point out trees I'd never noticed, talking about root systems and canopies like they were old friends. Then late-night calls that started with just one question and ended 2 hours later. We traded scar stories like veterans. Her, finding her husband passed out in the hallway, bottles hidden behind ceiling tiles, broken promises stacked higher than the beer cans. Me, the hallway at my in-laws, the hotel receipts, the restaurant window in Denver. One night, sitting across from her in a quiet bar, she asked, "Do you think you'll ever fully trust someone again?" I didn't dress it up. "I don't know," I said. "Part of me wants to. Part of me feels too broken for that." She shook her head. "You're not damaged," she said. "You're wounded. Wounds heal. Damage doesn't. Big difference." Later, I walked her to her door. We stood there for a beat too long. Old me would have bailed, made a joke, waved goodnight, and escaped back into my safe little shell. This time, I didn't run. I leaned in. She met me halfway. It wasn't perfect. Awkward, a little hesitant, both of us overthinking it. But for the first time since my life blew up, I didn't feel numb. I felt nervous, hopeful, alive. Turns out, that first shaky kiss was less about romance and more about proving to myself I wasn't dead inside anymore. 3 years after that Christmas Eve, I stood at the front of a small room and got married again. No ballroom, no 300 guests. No open bar and DJ yelling at people to clap. Just family, a few close friends, and a view of the water behind us. Ryan stood next to me as best man again. Last time, he toasted a future he thought I was walking into. This time, he knew exactly what I'd walked through to get here. Rachel walked toward me in a simple dress, nothing over the top. I wasn't thinking about centerpieces or whether the photographer got the right angle. I was thinking about that first wedding. How I'd said, for better or worse, like a line in a script. I meant it, but I didn't understand it. Now I did. When it was my turn to say my vows, I didn't just repeat after anyone. I looked her in the eyes and told her exactly what I was promising and what I wasn't. "I can't promise life won't ever break us," I said. "I can promise I won't lie about where I am when it does." Lauren crossed my mind for half a second, but there was no hate left. She was a closed chapter. This time, I wasn't picking safe. I was choosing someone who'd bled too, who knew what it meant to stay when things got ugly, and who chose me back with her eyes wide open. When Rachel went into labor, everything else in my life got very, very small. Hospital room, harsh lights, monitors beeping, nurses moving in and out with practiced calm. Hours blurred until they didn't, until someone said, "He's here," and a crying, pissed-off little human was placed in my arms. Daniel. I looked down at his scrunched-up face, his tiny fists, the way his chest rose and fell in these shaky, brand-new breaths. And out of nowhere, my brain threw me back to another sentence. "I'm pregnant with my boss's baby." Same words, completely different world. That night in the hallway, pregnancy meant betrayal, lies, a future I didn't sign up for. Here, in that hospital room, it meant something else entirely. No secrets, no double life, just exhaustion and joy and terror all mixed together. I won't lie and say I was grateful for what Lauren did. I'm not that zen. But as I held Daniel, one clear thought cut through the noise. If that Christmas Eve hadn't blown my life apart, this kid wouldn't exist. I wasn't thankful for the betrayal. I was thankful I hadn't let it kill me. Because surviving long enough to get to this moment, to feel his fingers grab mine, made every ugly step between then and now mean something. Years went by. Life filled up. Work, school events, date nights with Rachel, Daniel's sports practices. The whole mess with Lauren slowly moved from right now to back then. One afternoon, I got an email from Alexis. "Client mail forwarded to my office for you. Physical letter. Do you want it?" I said yes. Curiosity more than anything. A week later, an envelope showed up in my mailbox with Alexis's return address and Lauren's handwriting inside. She wrote about Sophie, a little girl I'd never met. Said she was running now, talking nonstop, asking questions about everything. She wrote that Caleb was gone. No child support, no involvement. Another state, another life. She wrote that she was in therapy, trying to understand the version of herself who blew up 2 families and thought it was love. She apologized. Not in a manipulative way. No, take me back. No, we were both at fault. Just a clear, simple, "I'm sorry. I know what I destroyed now. I read it twice. Then I folded the letter, put it in the back of a drawer, and went on with my day. No shaking hands, no urge to rip it up, no fantasies about payback. That's when it hit me. I really had moved a long way from that hallway. A few more years slipped past. Daniel grew. Work changed. Life did what life does. It kept going. Then Alexis reached out again. Another letter from Lauren. Your call. I took it, opened it at the kitchen table while Rachel chopped vegetables for dinner. This one was shorter, tighter. Lauren wrote that Sophie was older now, old enough to pick up on tension and missing pieces, old enough to ask real questions. She asked me if you hate me, Lauren wrote. I told her I honestly don't know. No begging, no angle, just one request. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm not asking for contact. I just need to know the truth so when she asks again, I can give her a real answer. I sat with that for a while, read it out loud to Rachel. What do you think? She asked. I think I don't hate her, I said slowly. I did once, or I thought I did, but hate takes energy, and I'd rather spend mine here. That night I wrote back, I don't hate you. I moved on. Your choices hurt me deeply, but they don't define me anymore. Tell Sophie that people can do terrible things and still grow. Tell her that I survived, and I'm okay. For the first time, I wasn't just reacting to what Lauren had done. I was writing my own story, in my own words. It happened in the most normal way possible. We were over at Ryan and Emily's place for a barbecue. The kids were in the living room flipping through old photo albums while we cleaned up in the kitchen. Dad? Daniel called out. He was about 6 then, gap-toothed, wild hair, marker on his fingers. I walked in and saw him pointing at a picture from my first wedding. Me in a tux, younger, a little softer around the eyes. Lauren in white beside me. Who's that lady with you? He asked. That's not Mom. Rachel and I had talked about this beforehand. No lies, no monster stories, just enough truth for his age. I sat down next to him. Buddy, I said, before I married Mom, I was married to someone else. It didn't work. We hurt each other, and we decided not to be married anymore. He frowned. Were you sad? Very sad back then, I told him. For a long time. I put my hand on his back. But if that hadn't happened, I never would have met Mom. And we never would have had you. So even though it hurt, I'm really glad my life went the way it did. He thought about it, nodded once. Okay, he said, and went back to coloring. I stood there feeling lighter than I had any right to. I'd told the truth without erasing anyone, including the version of me who didn't know better yet. The invitation came in the mail on a random Tuesday. Cream envelope. My name, Rachel's and Daniel's written in careful handwriting. Inside, you are invited to celebrate the wedding of Sophie Hale Donovan. Tucked in with it was a separate note in Lauren's handwriting. She wants you there. You're part of her story. I stared at that line for a long time. Part of me wanted to toss it. Another part knew this wasn't really about Lauren anymore. It was about whether I could stand in the same room as my past and not fall apart. Rachel read it quietly, then asked, If you go, are you doing it for her or for you? For me, I said, and for Sophie, if I was honest. None of this was her fault. So we went. Sophie was grown now, beautiful, nervous, happy. She looked like Lauren, but steadier somehow, stronger. Lauren found us before the ceremony. She'd aged, softer lines, calmer eyes, standing next to a man she introduced as her husband, a high school teacher, gentle handshake, kind face. When it was over and the music started, Sophie came over and hugged me like she'd known me her whole life. Thank you for coming, she said. Mom told me everything. You choosing to move on, it helped her become better. That's part of why I'm who I am today. I felt something in my chest let go. The kid who came from all that wreckage understood it, without carrying the hate. And that, more than anything, made all the scars feel worth something. I want to end this by taking you back to where it started. That hallway, Christmas Eve, Gift bag in my hand, snow on my shoulders, and Lauren's voice saying, "I'm pregnant. It's Caleb's." In that moment, I honestly thought my whole life was over. Part of me wanted everything to just collapse. House, marriage, future, all of it. Quick, clean, done. But that's not what happened. Instead, it was slow, ugly, painful. I cried in beige hotel rooms. I sat in courtrooms while my messages were read out loud. I watched the woman I loved become someone I didn't recognize. Here's what I learned. Her betrayal never defined my worth. It only exposed her character. Justice wasn't watching her suffer. Justice was refusing to let my life die when our marriage did. So if you're standing in your own hallway right now, world collapsing in a single sentence, hear me, breathe, document, protect yourself, financially, legally, emotionally. And when the dust settles and you're ready, choose to live again, on purpose. Because I did. I built a different life, a better one. I survived. And survival, it turns out, is its own kind of justice. If this hit a little too close to home, you're not alone. Stay, listen, and don't give up on your own story.